What's up, guys? Look, welcome back to the channel. We've had a couple of weeks off, just trying to clean up duck season and everything that goes with it. Look, that's why we're here today, is to talk about duck season. Um, there's a lot of us, I'm sure, that experienced a lot of the same things, or at least that's what I saw on social media. So let's talk about this past duck season. Let's talk about some things that changed, maybe, and maybe look at the reasoning for that change. But that's what we're going to do. That right there is why keeping a logbook of your hunts, your harvest, everything is so vitally important. Um, I can't stress that enough. If you've never tried it, do it. Start it now. It's not too late to start. But I'll say this about 2021, 2022. It was a strange year, right, for duck hunting, especially the further south you come. No rain whatsoever. Dry, one of the driest duck seasons I can remember. Generally speaking, a drought for a duck hunter is a good thing because if you have water or have access to water, the ducks have to use it. Well, this year, coupled with a drought, it was really, really warm. So, drought plus warm equals no good. And that's what we had this year. Um, up until the very end of the season. But the problem with the end of the season, we'll get into that a little more depth, is by then it's just too late. Ducks are only going to go as far as they have to survive, and they'll hunker out and not come any further south. So with that being said, let's look at the numbers from the year. We're going to compare them to last year a little bit, and then we're going to maybe get into some reasonings on things why. And, for this year, not a good year, but you could probably tell by the difference in our videos from this year to last year. Last year we killed a lot more ducks. If you followed us last year, if you want to go back and watch those, you can. This year we didn't kill very many. We killed 600. Well, actually we killed 597 ducks this year on the 38 hunts that I went on, and last year on 42 hunts we killed like 1,008. So four more hunts, 400 more birds. So we obviously didn't kill 100 each of those days. So as you can tell, the overall average down significantly. I think last year we averaged right at 21 ducks a hunt, which was about 5 ducks per person per hunt. This year we averaged 15 ducks per hunt, which ended up being just a little less than 4 ducks per man per hunt. So when you have those kind of years back to back, it really makes this year seem a lot worse than what it actually is. Because I can tell you right now, if you go duck hunting 38 times, which is what I went, I was out a little bit this year. It was kind of a weird year, weather-wise and business-wise and everything. So I didn't hunt as much as I normally do, but at the end of the day, I hunted about the same. But if you lose that many ducks per day on a year following a really good year, it makes it seem that much worse. But 600, almost 600 ducks is still a good year. I mean, that's more than I can eat, right? I mean, I still give plenty of ducks away to the people that need them and want them and desire them that don't hunt. And I still kept plenty for myself to eat. So, it's, you got to take the good with the bad. There are hunts definitely in my mind that stand out from this year that, one of them being the hunt with my wife. Opening day, second split in Arkansas was really good. But we finally had some weather then where we hadn't had any weather prior to then. Even though it was cloudy, it was very windy. And in duck hunting, I've always said it, sun is fun, but the wind is your friend. If it's windy, I like my chances. Because I don't know if y'all have ever flown in an airplane in the wind, but if you have, you know it's rough up there. So same thing for a duck, and he's trying to get down out of it. So, that hunt was a lot of fun. We killed, as a matter of fact, I think that's the best mallard hunt we had all year, too. So, we killed more mallards that day than we did on any hunt other than that. And, so there were still some anomalies in there where you had days like that. But for the most part, man, it was a grind. And, we'd kill 8, 10, 12 ducks, and we'd high-five about it because you had to work your tail off to do it. And, I know there's a lot of people that are going to watch this and say, oh, I wish I killed 12 every time we went. And I get that too. I'm not trying to be unthankful for what we have, but you got to understand the amount of work that we put into that land and the amount of money we put into that land. You like to see the reward for those things. and we consider ourselves to be fairly efficient at what we do. So, you know, it is what it is. But we're not immune to it like anybody else. We had a struggling year, and that just makes you want to work harder for this year. You know, I remember though it's a lot of fun because there are times in the season where you get to go have fun with your buddies. There's no stress. Like a lot of times during the season, I'm having to take people. Some on their first hunt, some they've been a few hunts, and some are really experienced. But when you get to go with a couple of buddies, like, you know, when it was me and Clay or me and Jacob and Bradley, and you kill them, you know, and everybody high fives, and, you know, even Clint got to shoot a couple on a couple of those hunts where I was running the camera. See, I can do it all now. You got to be able to do it all. But when you get to do that, it makes it all worth it. You know, and times like that are rare that we get to do that, where we get a day by ourselves and we get to have that kind of fun. So I got to also spend time with my buddy Mark Daniels Jr., professional angler. He's also a duck hunter, raised in California. They got a lot of ducks out there. So he hunted them growing up, and he still hunts them to this day. And it was really cool because we shot a banded mallard drake. We didn't kill but 2 bands this year. I saw 2 bands shot on the hunts I went on. I did not harvest either one of them. But both of them, I can tell you, were adult birds. They were like both at least 5 years old, which is crazy, crazy talk that you just didn't have any young ones. But overall, I would say this year was decent. I think decent is a fair word. I've had years where I've killed less, and we reserve that G word for those. That would be the GAR. Now, we had a lot of GAR days this year, but overall the season was pretty decent. We killed about 600. I'm looking here at my numbers, and this is where we'll get into the super nerdy part of what's going on. Maybe try to figure it out. Now, this is all purely anecdotal evidence based off of my hunts, and I really don't have a lot of research to back it up other than trends that I've seen through the years. So I have all these numbers kept for about 12 years, and I kind of can tell on one side or the other what's happening. So this year we killed 157 mallards out of our 600. I'm just going to use 600 for rounding up and easy math for you guys. And so what does that mean? That means about 25%, a little over 25% of our ducks that we harvested were mallards. Turn the page to last year where we killed 1,000 and we killed 250 mallards. 25%. So what does that tell me? That tells me, as a hunter, the mallard population is relatively stable. Now, the concerning part about that is I look at all the ducks, and there's plenty of resources out there. So when I kill them, a lot of times you'll see me on camera or something. I'll pick him up, I'll hold him, I'll look at him. What I'm doing is trying to determine if that duck is an adult or a juvenile. And what that tells me is kind of where we're at in things. Problem this year is there was a very, very, very small number of juvenile ducks, which leads to a tough duck season when you're hunting older ducks. Just like deer hunters know, the dumbest ones and the easiest ones to get are young. Same way with ducks. Same way with fish. Same way with turkeys. You name it. The younger the game, the easier they are to harvest. So when you stop and look at that, when your ratios are out like that, then what does that tell me? If I'm killing a lot of adults, very few juveniles, that tells me what I already knew to be true, is that the pothole region where these ducks raised, North Dakota, South Dakota, Southern Canada, was very dry, and there was poor nesting and poor reproductive success on the prairies. Now, they didn't fly last year, so we don't know that, but I can tell you, I'm pretty sure that was the case. And I know North Dakota did their own outside the Flyway Council, and they reported how dry it was up there. So the evidence of the ducks seems to back that up. That's not just a theory. That's not just something somebody says. The most concerning thing I'll say for this year is the Gadwall. The Gadwall, the Louisiana mallard, whatever you want to call him. We did not kill hardly any gads. The funny thing about that is last year we were able to take about 345 of them. This year, 40. You lose 300 to the game right there, then your season's already way out of whack, right? So what does that tell me about Gadwalls? What that tells me about Gadwalls is what backs up their biological sense. They return late to the nesting grounds. So when you're dealing with a drought and you return late, then all the prime spots are taken. So they're left with marginal habitat, which means marginal hatch, which means a population that will decline because their reproduction cannot keep up with their natural mortality. Us as hunters only get a small portion of these ducks as what they're considered natural mortality. Eagles, coons, predators of all kinds, hawks, owls, you name it, are way rougher on these ducks than we ever thought about being. So, when you look at low reproductive success, then you're going to get a population decline, which means, unlike most animals that can compensate over that over time, like a doe next year will have a better habitat in deer, so she'll throw twin or triplet fawns. Ducks don't have that. They're not that advantageous. They can't produce a bigger clutch of eggs and raise more when conditions are favorable. So it's going to take 2 or 3 breeding cycles for a lot of these numbers to catch back up. So why does that concern us as duck hunters? Well, all we've ever known for the most part, the duck hunter that's alive today is 6 and 60. 6 ducks, 60 days a year. If the numbers keep doing what they're doing, odds are the government's going to tell us that now you can only kill 3 or 4, and they're going to knock us back to 45 days. The major problem with that, in my opinion, is there's a chance that we never get those days back with how everything is going towards us. So us hunters have to be careful about choosing our battles in this. There are ways we can self-police this and fix it. If you don't like it, if you think the numbers should go down, then don't hunt to 6. Shoot you 4 and go home. That's what we do during blue wing season. We don't shoot 6. The limit's 6. Our self-imposed limit, 4. We kill 4 each, we go home. No problem. Everybody's happy, right? So you can do that. Now, what are you doing by doing that? You're decreasing the pressure on the ducks. You're getting plenty to eat. And you're giving those ducks a place to rest and hang out and hide out for the rest of the year. That is what you have to do today as a southern duck hunter. You cannot go sit in the same spot every day, run traffic, and expect to have great hunts all throughout the year. There are special places within flyways and areas that are like that. I get it. But odds are you don't hunt there. I don't hunt there. Phil doesn't hunt there. None of us hunt those kinds of places. So take your time, relieve pressure, take care of the resource. That's the one thing we've forgotten about during all of this, is taking care of the resource. Now, you'll see a lot of people say it's the flooded corn, it's this, it's that. No, it's not Tony Vandemore's fault. It's not Habitat Flats' fault. I will say ducks have gotten a little lazier, which in turn, they don't migrate quite as far because there's significantly more food north for them. I get that. But it's not just in flooded corn. It's no-till cropping. There's 100 different factors. There's a lot more water that stays open longer. There's water in subdivisions that keeps water pumping and moving, that gives them a place to get them a drink of water. And there's just really no snow anymore. So if you don't dump that food and cover it all up and have a sustained cold period, the ducks aren't going to move. The other thing that gets us as hunters these days, and something I've been screaming since I started researching waterfowl, December 21st is a big day. That's whatever, the solstice, I guess. Yeah, the solstice, the winter solstice. At that point, you have the shortest day of the year, shortest amount of daylight all year long. From that point after, a duck is not coming south, aside from major weather events. That's the only way a duck will leave and come south after December the 21st. It is what it is. It sucks, but it's always been that way. To me, what I would like to see on some of this is potentially a week in early November for us all to hunt, to catch that first flight of migrators. If y'all paid attention, there's what we like to call like the Halloween mallards that always show up around the last week of October. They're coming every year regardless. Photo period migration, they're coming. You're going to get a wave of mallards. So it would behoove you, if possible, to have water on your stuff by Halloween. If possible, if your habitat can support it. A lot of ours can't support that because the trees in the south are not dormant yet. They're still going through respiration. So you put water on trees going through respiration, you essentially choke them, you drown them, you put stress on your timber, you're going to have a timber die-off. But if you've got a field that you can hold them in, have water there by October 31st, by all means. Have some water there to catch them, because every year they come, doesn't matter, it always happens. There are just things like that that a lot of people don't take into account. I've always said after January the 1st, I don't want any more north winds. I don't need any more cold fronts after January 1st, because the north wind doesn't do anything. It'll move ducks locally, but it doesn't get you any kind of migration. After January 1st, our best days are always with a south wind. Ducks that have gone past you that ride the wind getting ready to go home, because they all know it's time to go home. So comes January 1st, north wind don't get me near as excited as cloudy and a south wind bucking up some weather down below us, because that means the ducks are coming. And you can go back and look, guys. That's why you keep the records, so that you become a better hunter. If you get a no-wind day in the middle of January or an east wind or something goofy, stay home. Don't go hunting. Leave whatever few ducks you got there sitting there. Go fishing. Go catch you some crappies. Go catch up on work. Go take your wife to dinner. Do something else other than going duck hunting. Leave those ducks be. And then when you do catch favorable conditions, the ducks will be a little fresher. They won't be as used to you. They won't be near as stale. So those are just some of my thoughts on why 2021, 2022 was the way that it was. I'm open for all things on this discussion, but to point the finger at people planting standing corn and saying it's their fault, there's too many factors to say that that's the one factor. I'm sorry, guys. I know what it is. I hunt these places. I've been to them. I've seen them. There is a whole landscape shift happening that is aside from flooded cornfields. I'll tell you this, our buddies up in North Arkansas have gotten really good at figuring out if they have a rest area that they don't hunt and a sanctuary area, they can hold a lot of fowl all season long, and they'll hunt the edges of them. And that gives them enough to hunt all season long. And I can't even be mad at them, because if I had the means to do it, I'd do it too. But we don't have the means to do that down here. So, the biggest thing that has happened to me is that hunters have gotten smarter at managing the resource for themselves, where in the past that wasn't necessarily the case. And for that, hey, good for the hunter, man. If you're mad at it and you don't like what you're doing, then pack up and leave. Go somewhere. Like, instead of paying a god-awful amount of money for a lease, take that and do a guided trip. Go see Habitat Flats. Go see some other places. Go stomp around public land in Arkansas or Missouri or Kansas. Go to those places. Go put your money where your mouth is when it comes to ducks and hunting. Like, we do it. I ended up in South Texas this year hunting in a desert. It was fantastic. I got to kill some cranes. I ain't never done that before. Killed a bunch of speckled bellies. Didn't know they had them out there. So there are cool experiences to be had that take place outside of, your beaver pond or your willow slough or whatever. Just you have to be willing to travel to do it. And that's what I would encourage everybody to do. Go see the country. Go hunt ducks somewhere new. Go have some fun with it. And like I said, overall, from what I've seen and our numbers comparing this year to last year to the year before, the duck population is relatively stable. There's not been a massive decline. Our percentages of harvest remain the same. Our total harvest is different, but as long as the percents are the same, that there's something relatively stable in there. Now, the Gadwalls, you better be worried about them, because they took it on the chin at some point from something. So if you have a Gadwall slough and that's what you kill, probably gonna be a tough few years for you. I'm saying that right now. But if the north, that northern Midwest part keeps getting the rain, keeps getting the snow it's getting right now, those potholes will fill back up. There'll be plenty of places for birds to nest. The farmers won't be able to turn it under, and we'll have another flourishing duck season in a year or two. But don't look for it to be next year. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Keep it realistic. Set your expectations accordingly. And most importantly, go out there and have fun. Go take somebody that hadn't been. Go enjoy it. Keep these records. If you have any questions, be sure drop them down below in the comments. We'll do our best to do another video like this, maybe addressing some of those questions, or I'll just hop down in the comment section, answer to the best of my ability for you guys. Appreciate you tuning in. And look, we're going into the off season. You know what's coming. There's going to be a lot of cooking and a lot of habitat work. So hope you guys enjoy it. Follow us along. Give us some suggestions, and we'll see y'all next time. We're out.